Four cataclysmic events have rocked the United States in the last 2 decades. The 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill, the 1991 Gulf War, the destruction of the World Trade Center in 2001, and Hurricane Katrina in 2005. At first glance, these events might seem to have little in common, but all have left in their wake large numbers of people who are now chronically ill after exposure to large amounts of toxic chemicals. In my 2008 book, Amputated Lives: Coping with Chemical Sensitivity, I write about the devastating effects of these major toxic exposures.
Dr. Lee Still, an epidemiologist, published a study in the American Journal of Epidemiology in November of 2000, which documented that over 200,000 of people who served in the first Gulf War are now chronically ill. That's over 1/3 of those who served.
In the mid-1990s, I commanded Walter Reed Army Medical Center. I continued to work on looking for causes for the illnesses suffered by many Gulf War veterans, illnesses that clearly were more than stress-related. I looked at vaccines, I looked at exposure to smokes, to other toxic chemicals, petrochemicals, and so forth, all that were part of that battlefield experience. And I came to the conclusion that at least one of the explanations was multiple chemical sensitivity, something where a variety of toxic elements, even at low levels by themselves in combination, may in susceptible individuals be causing these illnesses. And I believe so much more work needs to be done in that, but it is clearly one of the explanations.
I've been tracking the firefighters post 9/11, and what many have told me, and their medical reports have shown, that they've become hypersensitive to other chemicals that are out there. They could be fine for a while, they have respiratory problems, they run 3/4 time, meaning that they're not on active duty, and boom, they'll come across perfume or other chemicals out there, even household cleaning chemicals, and they'll just become immobilized. Some of them just become so sick that they basically can't function on a daily level.
One of the things that we uncovered at EPA doing investigations of releases of hazardous material is large numbers of people where there are releases start to develop what we call chemical sensitivity. And so we're seeing health effects to the public around hazardous sites like the World Trade Center a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, where people are now sensitive to chemicals. A little bit of perfume, for example, which would not affect anybody, can make people deathly ill.
In June of 2009, the CDC put on its internal website an indoor air environmental quality policy intended to maintain good indoor air quality in buildings in which its employees worked. So, among other things, the CDC policy states scented or fragranced products are prohibited at all times in all interior space owned, rented, or leased by the CDC. And this includes the use of the following products: incense, candles or reed diffusers, fragrance-emitting devices of any kind, wall-mounted devices similar to fragrance-emitting devices that operate automatically or by pushing a button to dispense deodorizers or disinfectants, potpourri, plug-in or spray air fresheners, urinal or toilet blocks, other fragrance deodorizer, reodorizer products. In addition, the CDC encourages employees to be as fragrance-free as possible when they arrive in the workplace. The policy states fragrance is not appropriate for a professional work environment, and the use of some products with fragrance may be detrimental to the health of workers with the following diseases: chemical sensitivities, allergies, asthma, and chronic headaches and migraines.
Professor Ann Steinemann, a civil engineer who has taught at both Georgia Tech and the University of Washington, has analyzed the secret ingredients in several leading fragranced products like air fresheners and laundry products. Dr. Steinemann found significant numbers of toxic chemicals in these products. Dr. Steinemann's website, contains extensive information about her studies.
The CDC indoor air quality policy is a very important policy and provides an example of what we should be doing in every workplace in this country. I think all workplaces should be fragrance-free. The number of people who are chemically sensitive and or with diagnosed MCS is increasing on a daily basis. A fragrance-free policy allows those individuals who are chemically sensitive to continue their employment. As a result, they do not have to turn to Social Security disability for income. Those who are not the beneficiaries of a fragrance-free policy are often unable to work and do find themselves on Social Security disability.
Funding for research in chemical sensitivity in this country does not measure up to the size of the health problem, the public health problem that it is. Japan does a much better job than we do in studying this problem and making funds available for serious researchers. I believe the reason that we haven't seen more research funding is political rather than scientific. There are commercial interests, the manufacturers of consumer products that pollute the air that we breathe, and the workers' comp insurance companies, and others that perceive that if we knew more about this problem, they would be liable for people suffering. And frankly, they don't want it studied.